everyone. Welcome to Weekend Project. I'm Laura Lynn of the Mama Pop Quilt Shop, and we're very happy to see you here today. We're working on my Halloween quilt cloak that's what I'm calling it. So I've got 3 sides done. I used a very pretty micropolar fleece for the backing, and it has a nice poly batting. And then to finish it off, what I've done is I've just taken the back, I'll show pop up here so he can get a nice good view. I took it and I trimmed it 1 inch from the little stitch line where my base stitch line is here. And then I trimmed the batting down to where it meets the quilt. And then what we're gonna do is just gonna fold that backing just a wee bit, and then again like that, and that's it's like a little self-binding, flip from the back and bind to the front. So that's one more edge that I have to do to finish this off, okay? So we're gonna do that, okay? So it's just cut a few, you can do a little bit more if you have, if you're nervous about it, maybe do 1.5 inches, 2 inches or whatever. But I just kind of just did about 1 inch and then fold it over, okay? So let's finish that off, because we got 1 inch. It's beautiful, I love it. And if I decide to use it as a quilt not in Halloween or during the Halloween season, then I can adjust it and I can change it. So gotta make sure, okay? All right. Oh, scoot. Oh. Sorry. This chair was scooting out from under me. All right. Here. Now, like I said, just taking that edge. Oh, put that one in. I was doing some hand sewing earlier, so needed that little extra light. And then just flipping it under that raw edge. Even though that's not going to fray, if you wanted to, you could just lay it flat and stitch all the way down. That's completely up to you. And then maybe you can come up with some little scissors and, just before the stitch and give it a little frayed look. There's lots of things you could do with that, that's for sure. Or even make it a little longer and make a little longer little frays, okay? So just fold that under. Just trying to get that little bit of a raw edge under and then stitch all the way down, okay? If it stops fighting me. Sometimes the fabric is being very rebellious. All right. Wake up, Nomi. Okay. Like I said, we just have the one side to do, but isn't it beautiful? I love it, and especially that it's on point. It should look really nice when it's as a little cloak over my shoulders. And I do have the same micropolar fleece to make the hood, and I made it so it was on the inside and the outside. So it's my inside fabric and my outside fabric. And you can use your little clips to hold this in place, or put some pins if it helps you. I'm just kind of coming down a little bit, doing the little fold over and kind of pressing it and holding it and steady as it feeds the rest of the way through. And I love the spider web stitch out. It's beautiful. And I'm so happy I did it with that very neon orange thread. And when the black/blue light hits it, it's going to look amazing. And then when it hits the white, it's going to look so cool. It's going to look blue. Bluey purple. I'm just going to tuck that under. And that's a good way to use if you really like your backing and you want to give yourself that, if you have that, minky or micropolar fleece or polar fleece or whatever, and you really like that and you want it to come around the edge, you use it as your binding. And that's nice and snuggly up against your, your face. So why not? Definitely flannel, that's for sure. Flannel's nice and soft. Okay, we're almost there. This does measure quite large. Like I said, we'll do a final measurement once I get this off here so you can see what I'm working with. And of course you can make yours smaller. I mean, that's up to you. I wanted to, like I said, make it like a Halloween quilt, and then I can turn it into a cloak for the night of. Nothing that seam ripper can't fix. Or is it the seam reaper? Which one is it? Or Frankenseamer? There we go, almost to the end. And then just tucked in the corners. And then just come all the way to the end. Perfect. Okay, do a little back stitch. Trim any long hairy threads. Okay, we're good. Do. All right, so this is, let's measure this here. Sorry, it's fighting me, like everything. Okay, this would be the height of it, and then the width is different because I used a different strip of material. So the height is, we're looking at 72, okay, and the width, because I want to make sure it goes around me and I'm no small pumpkin and be warm, is 80, okay? So that should definitely do what I needed to do, and then some. It's probably going to drag out behind me, but that's all right. It's making it to wash, right? So, all right. So what I want to do is find the middle spot of where it's going to sit the height-wise, because this is where it's going to hit the back of me. It's going to go this way and down the back, and I want to find that spot here. So this is where I'm going to be able to attach. This is a bit of cotton webbing. You can get it in nylon, you can get it in reflective, so on and so forth. I actually hemmed a pair of snow pants with it to give it a new little binding edge around it, and it worked just fine. So I thought, well, why not use the extra black bit to make me a channel to put either a rope or a elastic through to hold it to get that little, you know, that snuggy feeling of the cloak, right? And then I have the hood part right here, and we're just gonna make a hood. So, all right, so there's my middle, and I wanna make sure I put a little pin in there. Okay, and then I'm gonna find the middle of my strip here, which is not as wide as my cloak itself, so it's only 50 inches. So I have to make sure, you know, I'm putting it in the right spot. I don't want it, you know, all the way over here and not all the way over to the other side. So find the half of that, okay, and then put it in position of where you would match it up with this one. And depending how high, if you want a collar on your, if you're just making like a cape, then I would put this down a little bit lower, and then that's going to give you like a little collar. If you want it down even a little bit lower, you're going to get a higher collar. Depends on what you're looking for, and you can put a little wire all the way through that. You can, and as well as with the hood, you can put a little wire through it. It's just even, you know, a bent coat hanger, that sort of thing, right? You can make it worth it. All right, make it rockin'. So I'm just going to put mine about, I don't know, kind of want it just to sit up here with a little bit. So let's measure that, probably about, I don't know, 2 inches. All right, so I'm just going to hold that there until I can flip it around to the other side and move this. I'll just stick it on my chair while I get everything all pinned out, okay? And of course, drop this thing. Okay. Now what we want to do is lay this out to a position where we can get this all pinned and gives ourselves a little channel. If you don't have to have this webbing. I just figured I had it, and it'd be easier to take the whip stitches out or the base stitches out once, you know, I was finished using it. But you could just use a bit of black fabric or matching fabric or Halloween fabric or anything like that to be able to give yourself a nice channel. This is probably about 1.5 inches, I think. Yes, it is. It's 1.5 inches, and that's a nice channel for you know, even 1 inch of elastic, right? So I'm going to stretch this all the way over to here, and that gives me this part here to be able to come comfortably in front where I can overlap it and snug in and, you know, be nice and warm next to the fire and the cauldron of hot chocolate. All right, let's put some pins in. Okay. And you're only going to sew on one side here and then one side there. You want to leave this spot right in here because that's going to be your channel, right? So we're going to have to sew down on both sides. And since this is the least amount of fabric here, we'll feed it in this way so most of the fabric stays on the outside. Okay, so we're just going to pin a few down all the way. And you can adjust this. If you find you didn't like that, then move the space down, or you know, make a channel that goes all the way to the end. Especially if you're making for maybe a little one or something like that. Definitely, you know, adjust the size to them. Oh, got a big one. You don't want them, you know, looking like drowned little critters if the cloak is too big for them. I can't believe it's on Wednesday. Very excited. Wednesday we'll be quilting up Shelly the Skelly and the casket clock that we did up a couple of weekend projects ago. Very excited to finally get that done. And then I can put them out as my decorations. Okay. There we go, another pin. I just don't want it moving. I don't want it moving too much. Okay, I kind of want a nice even space, right? And then if we measure this space to here and this space to there, should be pretty even. If it's like a, you know, inch off or something, I really wouldn't panic. But that's up to you. Okay, let's take a little look, corner to corner. There we go. Works for me. Perfect. Let's move those over here and get this sewn down. Okay. Move you. Where did you go? Hopefully I don't lose that off the end. Okay. Alrighty. Now we'll sew down the two sides of that channel to get it all locked in, okay? And then we'll just add our, oops, fling pins everywhere. Oh, that sounded like I did. Oh well, sorry. Mind your toes. Do a little back stitch because there's going to be a lot of pressure on that points, whether it's being elastic or rope. Make sure you put the back stitches, even you know, go back a couple of times on that section to make sure it's nice and secure. And even like up an inch or whatever. Had lots of lovely compliments on the Blazing Star of 2017 and how I did it up and how I quilted it up, and thank you very much. It is a beautiful work of art, and I look at it and go, I can't believe I made that. Now we'll be mailing it off to the winner, who is one of our patrons. She's very excited to receive it. In fact, I think they're redecorating their room, which just has me giggling. It's a big project, you know. I'd almost want to paint my wall that light blue too. I have to say, and the light blue really does make a pop. Feels like there's something under. Oh, it's just okay. It's two seams matching up. Look. Feels a little heavy. What's going on there? Okay. Take your pins out as you go. You know, because this actually is a quilt that I'm trying to sew something on, maybe my walking foot would have been a better choice for this. But, you know, hindsight is 20/20 and all that. Oopsies. Just note when you want to try it. maybe try your walking foot, please, if you have one. Okay, we're almost to the other end, then we just have to do the other side, and then we get to attach our hood. Okay, and you don't have to. This is where you can just make it the cape. You can just make it that just to, you know, just to be like either the vampire cape or the or you know, just, you know, Cape Crusader cape, or, you know, whatever. All right, we'll just sew down the other side real quick here. I'll have less pins to deal with. I'm not getting poked as much. And I can just easily whip these stitches out, or even just leave it still in there and just be able to rethread the rope every year. So I think it could hang up, you know, the few weeks before Halloween, and, you know, a couple of days afterwards until we get ready for Christmas stuff, you know. Not that we usually put anything up before our birthdays. Pop and I feel like it's kind of rushes us, you know, because our birthdays are at the end of November, like 3/4 to almost the end of November. So we don't really want to rush the Christmas, right? Want to enjoy the birthday. All right, back stitch. There we go, making sure it's nice and secure. So that is our channel, okay? Now, like I said, if you wanted to, let's show you here, if you wanted to use elastic, okay? This is, I think, only 1/2 inch elastic. It's what I had. You know, I think I might have a thicker white, but it might be 2 inches, and you don't cut that stuff. Yeah, you'd wreck it. Okay, so what you would want to do is you would thread it through one side and go all the way to the other. But you may want to measure first, like particularly how much of a stretch you would want, whether you wanted it really tight or a little looser, depending, you know, how you want your elastic. So you would take it and you would measure and say you wanted that. You'd have to stretch that whole section from there all the way to the other side. You're going to have to find a way. So, and that's, I thought it'd be great for kids, but maybe for an adult one like this one, I think the rope is going to be the best choice. So what you would do is attach and then feed it through, and as you're feeding it through, it's going to cinch and cinch and cinch and cinch and cinch and cinch and cinch, and then that's what's going to give you that little round bit for your cloak to sit around you and cuddle up around you, okay? So, but like I said, for this big project here, I think the rope is the best idea, and I don't know what to do with my, thought I had my safety pin here. Oh, gravy. What did I do with it? I thought I just found it. Oh, here it is. Ha! It was hiding. Okay. Now, you just want to kind of put a knot. So you can put the pin, the sharp part of the pin through. Okay. And that helps feed it down through the channel. Okay. Just put through there. There, and I'm just going to feed it all the way and figure out, once I get it tightened up and cinched up, how much I want it in. Okay, and then at that point in time, I'll take my cloak, what I have, or my hood, what I have for that. I've got one part already. Okay, and then I'm going to sew the other half, and then I'm just going to cut it in half because that's a nice big chunk there. I won't need that much, but right now it's 48, and then I've got 2 pieces, but I sewed them together so the seam down the side and the back. I was trying to preserve the fabric, and then it would be doubled that, which would be about 34. So that's more than enough that you would need for a cloak, a hood. Okay, so you've got to feed that through. Just start at one end and just, you can feel it, just kind of push the bottom of the pin and hold it and kind of feed the fabric over top of it, and then hold the top of the pin head and then back feed again, and then stretch, and then slowly but surely you end up working your way through. I know it's a bit of a game of patience, but just kind of push the bottom, hold the top, yank the excess fabric back. Okay, hold the top, Push the bottom up, 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 up. Grab the top. There we go. So this would probably be the longest part, Pop. But I could see you doing make a really quick cloak for a kid. Just take the measurement up, see how far they want it down, the touching the ground or not where they're even, you know, it's just, you know, a couple inches up so it's not getting dirty and they're not tripping on it, you know, and then measure, you know, around the body and then an extra, you know, another half of the munchkin size. And that should be plenty enough to make a cloak. And then you just need that bit part for the hood. You can make it just a one-piecer. Oh, almost to the end. Here we go. All right. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to make sure I pull enough through. Okay, all right. And then I have enough there. Okay, so I can cut this. Cut it a little shorter. Okay, and as I feed this, it's going to make that back part tighter and tighter and tighter, and that's what's going to make it all nice and snug around the back of my neck. Okay. All right, so just in case, I'll put a knot in. Still could probably lose it, but that's all right. Okay, so let's just kind of try it on for now before we put the hood on. Okay. Flip it over. Hopefully I'm not messing up the mic. Okay, there we go. So we just tighten it up here, tighten it up there, and then again. You can easily tie that, and they can either flip and flop, or you can make this so it goes back. You can stitch it. You can add your own accent to it. You know, even so, or you know, so it tucks under, and you're going like I'm sure I'm wrecking the microphone. I'm sorry. You know, there's many ways. There's many ways you can make it work for you. Okay, I love it. All right. Okay, so there we go. Lovely. And very warm, very, very warm for sure. Okay, so now I know where I like it. It's pretty much right there. And now to fit this part, I think we'll just do like a little faux tie so I'm not losing my spot. Okay. So somewhere back here is where our hood is going to end up going. Well, let me just move this so you can see it a bit better. Okay. Because that's where I'm kind of giving you that collar, right? Depending on where you put your little channel of fabric, it gives you that height of a collar. So because I was putting a hood on, I didn't want a really high collar that you know, you'd probably use for a vampire or something like that. Okay. So here's our hood bit fabric. Okay. And I was just going to cut it in half. And I was just going to chop it right down. Okay. And that gives us, I've already done one hood. Okay. See there? And you could round this. You don't have to have it as a point. You could easily sew this as a round, or you know, it's whatever you want, like the wizard hat, the witch's hat, whatever. And then this is the other part, and it's just going to sit like this, and then the other part's going to get lined on the inside, and then this part's going to get attached to the back. Okay? But we need to make the other one of those. So let's turn this way. This was just fabric that was left over from the side of it, and I thought, you know, I didn't want to cut new pieces when I could just sew it and make it a seam. So, and make it work. Okay, now I'm just going to put the one inside the other, and hopefully that'll line up. If I did the right side here. Okay. And they hopefully, like I said, hopefully they line up. If not, one's going to be a bit bigger than the other. Oh, should we got one the wrong way? Like seriously, how could they be? Okay, well clearly the fabrics are different. One's clearly bigger than the other. All right, well we want the right sides together to be able to sew them all the way around, okay? Okay, let's make sure the tops are aligned. All right, hold on. Did I maybe had it the wrong way? No, that was right. I think just one's taller than the other. Okay, that's all right. We figure it out. All right, so just pin those. Let's put a few pins in just to hold it steady as we're going around. And then we can trim the bottom and the sides after. Okay. Looks like there's a little bit of a split in that one, so I have to make sure I come down with my, when I'm sewing, make sure I come to the other side of that, because I don't want that in my part of my hood. Okay. So let's just sew this little seam, and then we might have to do a little trimming, and then we'll pin it to the back of the cloak. Okay. And that's just putting the two hood bits together, okay? Oops. There you go. Okay, perfect. And there we go. And so far, the weather is looking really good. A little chilly, but I'd rather have it chilly than raining. So I'll get some of my older neighbors coming around doing some drinker trading. They're fun. One of the kids' moms, because she's been yelling out the window all week, I'm coming to your house like 16 times. So her mom comes to talk to me today. She goes, I'm just letting you know, I've told her no. She can't do that. And I was giggling. She goes, she was going to come back and she was going to change costumes. And I said, okay, what is she coming at? And she says, a cowgirl. I said, all right, I'll remember. She goes, just to let you know, she's not coming back. All those times she thinks she is. So, it's because I give out the big bars and have hot chocolate. All right, so there is our lined hood, okay? And like I said, you can round it, you can square it, you could do whatever you like, okay? And then at this point in time, you want to make yourself a little channel between, you know, where you're going to end it, where it's going to be attached to the cloak or to the other fabric. And then you can put a little channel in here, and then that way you can put a little wire. And you can form the wire, you can make it square, you could, you know, all sorts of fun, funky things, you know, I'd tape the edges though, so you don't get poked through, okay? Just a note. Okay. So I know I don't need it that long, because that would be far too long for me. Okay. So we need to trim a bit off. What did I do with my big ruler? Thank you. Okay. Now hold on, let's put that back on just so I can, now that I've actually had a little try. And that cloak's going to come up to here, so I need to come to about here-ish. Oop, sorry. Jingle bells. No, that's tomorrow's show. All right, so we need a couple inches off. That's okay. Easy peasy. All right, so that goes there. Now, this, you want to find the center. like we were doing before. Finding the centers are very, very important, okay? And then we kind of know what the center of the cloak is. You know, the pattern kind of dictates it. So if that's here, I think actually this is the center one. Okay, and then what we would want to do is to either fold these two raw edges under and tack it right on the side above where your channel is, so you're not getting any interruption with your rope and or your elastic or anything else like that. Okay, so what we could do is put a couple pins in, and I would just whip stitch this to make sure it was all in place. Tuck under. But this is polar fleece. I could have just left it with the raw edge knowing I wasn't going to keep it on it. You know, that's up to me. That's up to you. Do whatever you like. Okay, and I'm just going to move it to it's all the way over here. I'm not stretching it. I'm just trying to give it, you know, a bit of movement. You know, I know there's going to be bulk in the hood itself. And then just pin it up. Get some of my bigger pins here. And I'm probably just going to pin it and show you, but I will hand stitch it all down. Hopefully I don't get poked. Okay, there we go. And then same over on this side. There's hoping my idea worked. I don't see why not. And that should be very warm come Wednesday night. With my fire and my cauldron of hot chocolate and my magic sprayer of whipping cream and my endless bucket of candy for the kids. Got rockets, and we're going to grab some suckers, and of course we got the big chocobars. That was a weird shape pin. All right. Very excited to see what this looks like. But I won't see. You guys will see. Come on, you. And I can't wait to see if anybody's done any Halloween stuff. You could join us in our Mafia group. You just have to answer like 3 very simple questions, and then you get to come and hang out with a bunch of other people sharing the same ideas, same crafts, and sharing what they're working on. And sometimes if they have problems, it's a good place to ask, because you kind of already know each other from the chats and stuff. It's a very homey, lovely community. All right, so I'm going to take my little knot out here, and I'm going to put my cloak on. Hopefully I don't get poked in the head, but it will be prepared. Okay, all right, let's move that there, and that should come up and over. Okay, let's put this around. Oh, there's the big one. It was hiding. Okay, so I tighten this up, and of course I'm going to get it to where I really, really like it, and then it's going to just stay there, and I'm going to just pin it, clip it, whatever, do you know, put even the nice little brooch I can attach that to. Okay, so there we go. There's the, oh, there we go, perfect. There's the top part, and there's the cloaky part. So attach that, put a little pin back there, safety pin, whatever. I think it looks awesome. It feels awesome. Feels super warm. Have a happy Halloween, everybody. We will see you on Wednesday on the Long Arm Wednesday project, and we will see you tomorrow when we're finishing off the triple Irish chain for our first of our 3 Christmas scrappy quilts that we're going to end up doing. Okay? Take care, everybody. See ya tomorrow.